Hi everyone, and welcome to my craft room. Apologies I'm a few minutes late. I had my daytime job come into my hobby job today, so I've been mucking around with work stuff and staffing stuff and stuff. So lots of stuff. But anyway, so hopefully I'm going to be okay. I'm probably not as organised as I sometimes can be. But anyway, we'll see how we go. I'm just checking that my iPad is working. Yep. So I'll just turn the volume down there. So I often have trouble with the volume, but it seems to be working. Okay, cool. Okay. Thanks for everyone who's joining me. Sue, I can see you're on already. Hi. And everyone who watches the replay, thanks for dropping along. Anyway, today I'm going to be making some cards with the Timeless Tulip stamp set and punch. They are in the current, and I was trying to remind myself whether it's the annual catalogue. No, the current mini catalogue, the occasions catalogue. So they're available through till the beginning of June. It's a lovely little bundle. It's got lots of lovely sentiments. Basically, it's be a great one for beginners. We've got Happy Mother's Day, Get Well Soon, Happy Birthday, just a plain old hello. We've even got something there for spring and Easter, which is really nice. And these tulips are a lovely a lovely image as well. Something for all the wonderful women in our lives. So anyway, and I haven't touched this one for a long time, so I thought I'd challenge myself to do some cards with this one. You tend to touch these things a bit when you first get them, and then let them go and forget about them because there's always something new and wonderful coming. So I'm going to say hello to this old friend again. I actually got this set and the punch as freebies at the onstage I went to in November, which was really nice. So if anyone ever wants some freebies and a good time with other stampers, I definitely suggest you join up just in time to go to the next onstage, because it is a wonderful time with great giveaways and gifts. Anyway, so that's just a little aside. Anyway, okay, as I said, I'm going to make 3 cards today using the stamp set for all 3 and then the punch for the second 2, so I'll pop that away. As I've been doing recently with my cards, I'm actually going to make 3 cards with different sorts of crafters in mind. So the first one is for beginners, people with limited equipment at home, so it basically just uses the stamp set. A couple of my favourite colours, the rich raspberry, which has got ink all over it, which is probably, I've got ink all over me as well. And another favourite is Old Olive, so I'm going to use basically just those 2 colours for all of my cards today, and you'll notice the theme running through them all. Thanks everyone who's on. I've got Gloria, hey Gloria from Adelaide, and Renee and Roz and Karen and Sue. Welcome aboard, guys. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so let's get started. So my beginner card, or my very simple card, is just a base card, normal size for me, 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4, scored in the middle. Gives a normal A6 or C6 card base. I've got a panel of rich raspberry, which is cut, well, it was cut slightly smaller, but it seems to have grown in the wash. It's actually a bit, so I'm going to have to trim that one. Bear with me for a second. Where's my trimmer? It's actually probably a different panel. I'll just trim that down a tiny bit. Bear with me. She says as an excuse to get a trimmer out. Not too late to grab this trimmer as a freebie with the joining offer if anyone's thinking of joining. Just going to trim a little bit off the edge of that rich raspberry layer because it seems to have grown a bit bigger than it should. There we are, that's better. I wonder how the white one is. The white one is too. I'm going to have to trim this one down as well. I obviously measured my card base. I'm just going to take a little bit off that one as well. You guys did laugh at me last time I got my trimmer out. It was a bit of blatant advertising. But it is just so handy. and so light and easy that it's just come so handy all the time. There we are, that's better. Okay, so card base with a rich raspberry 1/8 of an inch smaller and all the way around, and a whisper white layer 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around as well. We're going to stamp on this top one. As I said, when I normally do my beginners classes, I like to give them this panel to stamp on, because that they're less nervous about ruining a piece of cardboard than a whole card. This is a photopolymer stamp set, so I suggest you grab a foam square or a silicone mat or something and pop it under your grid paper, just to give it a bit of extra support. It tends to stamp better. Okay, so let's get stamping. So I'm going to start with my old olive, and I'm going to start with the stem out of the stamp set. There's actually 2 stems in the stamp set. This one's the straighter of the 2. I'm just going to stamp 3 stems. So keep in mind, this is my really simple beginner card. So I'm going to stamp 3 stems coming from the bottom of the cardstock. And again, be careful that you are actually stamping on something that you don't mind getting a bit inky, because we are going off the edge a tad. Okay, so my first one, I'm going to bring it off, coming off from about the center and coming off to the left. And my second one, I'm going to make it taller, and I'm going to have it also coming from about the same spot and reaching a little bit higher. And then the third one, I'm just going to use the same stem, coming a little bit further to the right and headed over to the right hand side. Okay, so we've got our three stems there. I might swap away from the old olive for a second and bring in the rich raspberry with our beautiful blooms. So here the stamp set's got 3 tulips in their various opening glory. So we've got the big one here that's open, and some smaller bud ones there as well. So I'm going to use all 3 of those. I like to, when I'm designing my cards, use as many of the stamps from the set as possible. Sort of make people realise that they can get a whole lot of value from one stamp set. So I'm going to pop the big one here in the middle, just reaching for the sky. And as I said, we're using the foam mat underneath. There's our first bloom. And I'm going to get the smaller one, the sort of partially open bud, and I'm going to pop him over here. Actually no, I'm going to pop him there, because I haven't quite left enough space there. I'm going to pop him over there. So this is slightly different to my original design. And then I'm going to bring in the smaller of the 3, and I'm going to pop him over onto the left. Just like that. So as I said, this is a simple card, just stamping and paper, and yeah, can't get much simpler than that. Okay, so then I've got the happy birthday from the stamp set, and I'm going to also do that in rich raspberry. You could do that in black, but I quite like the rich raspberry because it's nice and dark and clear. And I'm just going to bring that off from the left. Actually, I've probably got room up here this time. In my original card, I didn't have as much room up here. Might actually pop it up here this time, just to give it some space of its own. Bear with me for a second. Slightly changing things up. There we are. We've got a happy birthday. Then I'm going to come back to my old olive, and I'm going to put some leaves on. So the set has 3 different sorts of leaves. Got one here. Where's the other 2? And they sort of all have different angles on them, so you can use them. Where's the other one? I'm hoping I've got the other one here somewhere, because it's going to be a very short video otherwise. 1, 2, oh yeah, I do. That's okay. So let's start with the one I've got blocked up already in old olive, and we're just going to give some leaves coming off these various stems here. Okay, so they sort of tend to lend themselves to one angle or another. If you sort of move them around a bit, they actually sort of come off at the right angles and things. wouldn't go too mad with them. But they are very pretty. Yeah, that's probably enough, I think. There we are. Okay, as I said, a very, very simple card, but very, very sweet, I think. There we are. So there's our happy birthday with our beautiful 3 tulips. Okay, so now I'm just going to layer those up and add some glue. And we'll be done with card number 1. I can do the inside too. Yeah. And even that out. Here we are, that's card number 1. Got a bit of smudge down there. Cool. Okay, so we might just leave that. Yeah, rubber. Just a little bit of excess glue down there and just rub that off. Cool. Okay, so there is my beginner card with my beautiful timeless tulips. Okay, so let's go a little bit more crazy. Let's add a little bit of extra to this one. Okay, my second card adds a few more details, and I would say that this is a intermediate crafter card. So this time I've got rich raspberry again, the colours are the same. I've got a rich raspberry card base this time, same size, 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. So we've got that there. I've got a layer of Whisper White, which is the 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. So there we go. Then I've got some black, some basic black, and that one is another 1/2 an inch smaller all the way around. I'll put the measurements in the comments, so don't worry too much about that. You can see it's a bigger border on this one. Then I've got some of the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful painted poppies designer series paper. So rich raspberry is one of the feature colours on there. You can see it popped in behind here. So I'm just using this, even though they're poppies and I'm doing tulips, I don't think it matters too much. They're just beautiful any way you look at them. So that's the painted poppies designer series paper. It's pretty on the other side as well. Sometimes it's hard to choose which side you like. So I've got a slightly smaller panel of the designer series paper. Then I've got another panel of basic black, and oh, what did I just drop? Anyway, and another panel of Whisper White, and this is where I'm going to be doing my stamping. So as you can see, we've got some layers happening there. Actually, that one's not meant for there, that one's inside. Sorry about that. So yeah, so it's just basically the rich raspberry, then the black, and then the designer series paper. Didn't think that looked right. So that white one is for inside. Okay, told you I was a little bit disorganized today. Okay, so we're going to bring in some of the beautiful polka dot ribbon as well, and I've already, as you can see, tied my bow for that. And we're going to use the punch to punch out a couple of our blooms as well. So let's get started. So really all we want to start with is this little white panel here. And again, I'm going to do some stamping first. I'm going to use, oh, that's my cup of tea. I'm going to use the stem and our old olive. And I'm going to bring in the same 3 stems, left, middle and right, as we did on the first card, as I say, following sort of a bit of a design and adding bits as we go. So the first one, now I'm going to be putting the small bloom here and the larger bloom here. So I don't want to go too close to the edge with my stem, because I need to obviously put the bloom at the end of the stem. So I'm going to put the first one there, hope for the best. I want a taller one that's going up in the middle, and this is where our beautiful big tulip's going to go. And then same deal, slightly off to the right and coming in and shorter, I'm going to have a third stem. So we've got our 3 stems there. Now I'll add the blooms just to make sure I haven't gone, could have probably done the blooms first. Anyway, I'm going to bring in my rich raspberry. I'm going to bring in my nice little small bloom. This is the bud one. And I'll just bring that, making sure he's all on the paper. There we go. So that's number 1. I'll bring the larger one and bring that here. There we go. And I'm going to, I'll add the leaves now while I'm, the stamped leaves. So we'll bring in this one again. And just bring them up. Same sort of deal as the other one, as the first card. There we are. So that's all the stamping I'm going to do for the moment. I'll just show you that. There we are. So we've got a stem here waiting for a tulip there, and some of our leaves. So what I've done, I have already stamped my tulip and 2 leaves, but I want to just show you a little trick with this punch to punch them out. You can see with the punch, and if you haven't seen it before, you've got your larger blossom tulip here and one of the leaves, and they are so close together that it makes it quite tricky if you want your tulip pink and your leaf green. It's a matter of trying to work out where, you know, how to stamp it for the best usage, so you don't have to waste too much paper. So what I find is a good thing to do is you can either use your Stamparatus, which makes it lots easier, but just get yourself a little template, so a little piece of white, Whisper White, or any piece of card, and actually just punch out the shapes. Then what you can do is bring in your stamps, position them in the right positions with the little template, and you can feel them when they're in there. They sort of nuzzle in nicely. And where's the other one? Yeah. So this one here is the leaf that goes with it. So nuzzle him in as well. And then bring in a big block and actually stick them to the block in the right positions. Okay, so now I know that when I stamp, I'm going to be in the right position for my punch. And what you can do is bring in some, there goes my scissors, let's hope I don't need those. Bring in your ink, and if you just ink up the flower, she says, being very careful, ink up the flower there and the leaf here, just on the very edge. And then stamp. Ta-da! And then you can bring in your punch and you can get a leaf and a bloom without wasting too much paper. Oh, she says, fiddling it a bit. Might have to fiddle a bit. But they're in the right place relative to each other. Bring it down a bit. There we are. So I've got my leaf and my bloom with just one punch, so to speak. Ooh. Okay, so we'll bring in bloom. So I'm going to set this one up here. I'm going to pop it on some big dimensionals just to give us a little bit of a 3D effect. So I'll just bring him in there. I'm going to add at least one of our leaves, probably two. She says, having dropped the scissors, she'll bring in another pair. So we've got this one. Hey Marilyn, thanks for joining me. Hope everything well with you. I'll just bring this one in, whether I've left room for it. Just bring one here. And another one here. Oops. Just position them in respect to each other. It's a bit tricky. I don't want to cover over my little bloom there. Maybe bring it down here. Okay, there we go. So we've got a bit of dimension, a bit of 3D happening. So I might actually layer this one up now. Bring in my bow and everything. There we go. That glue's just about to run out too. So I don't think anyone will notice I'm mixing my poppies with my tulips. There we go. And you put this one on the black. And then I might set this one up on dimensionals as well, just for a little bit of extra height. Hey Chris, thanks for joining me. There we go. Adding some more little hexagons to the floor of my craft room. I'll fill up my, just about fill up my vacuum cleaner with those little things on a weekly basis. I don't know about anyone else. There we are, so we've got that. Then I've got my little bow, so I thought I'd probably pop the bow on there like it's, I have to get those scissors, bear with me. Now, with everything shaking around. Oh, now I've lost my glasses as well. Going well today. Okay, so I've got my bow. It's just a little length of polka dot white ribbon, and I'm just going to trim it down. Left the ends quite long. Trim it down a little bit, and I'm just going to pop that on just on the center there, sort of like it's holding our little bouquet together. I'll bring in a glue dot. I haven't got a sentiment on this one because I think I've actually sort of haven't left enough room, so we'll put the sentiment on the inside. So bring our little bow in where, just on this one. There we are. It's not little actually, it's quite big. I've left that quite large, that bow. Anyway, so there we are. So we've got that. So on the inside we're going to put our sentiment. So I'll just glue this one in. And I might bring in a little tulip as well, to bring the pattern from the outside into the inside. Just bring that up. I think just one, actually. I think one's enough, and I'll just use the smaller one Not too much happening on the inside. There we are. And I'll use, for this one, we might use the Get Well Soon, I think. That one's quite pretty. What does the other one say? Happy Easter. May the memories of yesterday. No, that's all right. Let's just do Get Well Soon on the inside of this one. And as I said, I'm just going to use the rich raspberry. Somebody's coming into my craft room. Hi, Sammy. What you doing, kiddo? Okay. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, can you pop it in the dryer? Oh, sugar. Pop it in the dryer. Okay, so we've got that there. That one there is all done. So bear with me for a minute. Put it in the dryer, lovey. Okay, so last card, and then I'll deal with my son going to his job. Okay, so the last card is, apologies for that, guys. The last card is, I've got myself all distracted, is our advanced, our avid crafter card. And I've gone all out with this one. We've got a bit of everything. Again, I have my rich raspberry card base, and I have my white panel, and this one is definitely for the inside. I have another panel of rich raspberry, which this time I've put it through a embossing folder. It's a really lovely embossing folder. It's called layered leaves, I think. It's in the current annual catalogue. And as you can see, we've got some lovely leaves happening there. So that panel's just it's a 1/4 of an inch smaller than our card base, and it just adds a little bit of something extra to our card. Then I'm using the sweetly stitched dies, and I've got a sweetly stitched rectangle of also rich raspberry, and then I've also got one of old olive, and I'm going to use both of those, but I'm going to put them slightly off centre to each other, so they just add a little bit of detail. Now I have also got our stems, so I've stamped and fussy cut our stems. These are the easiest shapes to cut out. They're just straight lines fundamentally. So I've got 3 stems there, cut out in stamped in old olive and cut out. I don't know if I'm going to use all 3 yet. I definitely will use 2. I've got our large bloom and our smaller bloom, which I've also stamped and cut out, and I've got the very small bud as well. So as I say, I don't know if I'm going to use 2 or 3 of those, but I've got them all ready. I've got a little ribbon. I'm using the old olive Pretty Peacock double sided ribbon, and it is beautiful. So it goes so nicely with the rich raspberry, and you'll be thankful I've already done a small bow as well. And I've also got a sentiment sort of box, also out of the stitched sweetly dies, which I'm going to use as well. So I've done all the cutting and all the colouring, so you just have to watch me put it together. I haven't actually put it together yet, so this could be interesting, because I knew what I wanted to do, but I was sort of going to play it by ear a little bit. Okay, so what we might do is pop our embossed panel onto our card base, and to do that I'm going to use tear and tape, because it is quite a deeply embossed pattern, and I think it fits, sort of sticks better with double-sided tape. So just pop that on there. So it's the sort of tone on tone, the colours will be the same, it's really the textures that we're changing. Something a little bit different for me anyway. So there we have our card base. And what we've got is our panel of our 2 contrasts, our colours there, so I'm going to bring those in there. So I might also put double-sided tape on the larger of the two sweetly stitched rectangles. Just again to make sure it sticks. So that one's going to be pretty much central, I think. Yep. Like that. So I don't want to cover over too much of our beautiful embossed fold piece. And then I'm going to just glue the old olive one there. And as I say, slightly off centre, like that, and slightly onto the other one. There we go. Oh no, I forgot my ribbon. The ribbon was going to go there. Okay, fine, damn. Anyway, the ribbon was going to be beautiful and it was going to go there and tuck up under there. Anyway, oh well, use your imagination. Okay, so now we've got our stems, and we'll see how I've decided what I think we should do here. So I'm going to bring the stems up here from this angle, like this. So we've got the same sort of 3 flower sort of effect happening. And then I'm just going to pop our blooms on. So as I say, I'm really feeling my way here a bit. That. Need to give them a bit of different angles to each other. So I'm obviously going to have to cut these stems off because they're far too long. There we go. Nick. Anyway. And then I was going to bring this sentiment box in and pop it there over the top, and the little ribbon there. Now I see it. Looks slightly different to how it looked in my head, especially because I'm missing the ribbon, which is going to be the best part. Okay. Hey Donna. Okay, so I might stick it down and we'll see how it goes. It might look different when I've got it all stuck down properly, and we'll put we'll put some gems and some rhinestones on it as well. Damn, that ribbon was going to really be good. I might put it on anyway and just trim it at the ends. Anyway, okay, so let's get this on. Okay, so the first thing I suppose is we'll decide on the positions for our 3 little blooms. There we are. Okay, so I might actually pop them on with dimensionals and pop them on first. Donna, you spelt my name wrong. Oh, after all these years. That's all right. I answer to anything. Just about. So we've got that one there. And this one. And this one, I'm going to be as excited to see how this one turns out as anyone. Not quite sure. Here we go. So we might pop our stems in. I'm obviously going to do the stems with glue. And just pop that up in there. This one, and I'm going to shorten that one a little bit. So that one can go there. Sorry, I'm not much talking here. I'm actually sort of concentrating. Anyway, you guys can, I'm sure you don't want to hear my voice the whole time. I'm here for the stamping. And that one there. And then the last one, just up in here. So I'm going to have to shorten that one quite a bit. Even a bit more actually. Apologies about that. Pop that one there. Too much glue. Okay, so that's all right. I'm quite happy with those. Okay, so then what I'm going to bring in this ribbon that I forgot. I'm going to trim it down to the right width. Pop that in there. Right, just give it a little bit of a triangular end. Pop that there, and then trim it to the other end. That was going to be the best part of this card. Anyway, all good. I'm just going to pop that one there. Trim it a little bit more. Okay, pop that there. That's okay. Use some double-sided tape to pop that down. Pop the tape on the card first, I think. Eek. Just where the stems sort of cross there, that's where it was going to be. There we are. Okay, that's not too bad. There we are. Okay, and then we'll pop in our little sentiment box. It's just going to go here, just where the ribbon crosses. I'm going to stamp that up with, I think, the Happy Mother's Day fits it really well. So we'll pop the Happy Mother's Day there. Hey Margie, thanks for joining me. I'm nearly done now. Been a very bad mother and didn't wash my son's work shirt. So I'm sort of half rushing so I can go and at least try and get it dry for him. So Happy Mother's Day, pop that just in the middle of our little sentiment box. And pop that just there. And I'll use dimensionals for that as well. Just over the ribbon and the stems. Then I've got another little ribbon here, and I'm going to pop that just off to the side a little bit there, just to add a little bit of extra. So I'll use, wherever they are, I'll use my glue dots just on the back of my ribbon. Just pop that in there, just nestle that in there. Okay, so what do we think of that? I'm going to add some pearls as well. So I've got these beautiful gold and silver metallic pearls, and I thought that the silver one would be quite nice just for something a little bit different. So I'll pop those on. sentiment box. And I'm sure there's a theory to where the best placement of embellishments is, but I still struggle. Maybe there's a course I can do. I tend a bit of trial and error sometimes. Okay, so they're quite pretty. I just give it a little bit of lift. I have to do something about that ribbon, it's a little bit frayed. Now, if you can imagine the ribbon going all the way around, then that would be the way I meant it to be. So there we go. So that's our third card. We've got as a Mother's Day card. So hopefully you guys like that. So as I say, same colours, same sort of basic design, but as I say, we add a little bit of extra bling and a little bit of extra layering and some tools every time. Okay, so there we are. So there we are, that's our Mother's Day card. I'm going to keep my fingers there so you can see what it was supposed to look like if I hadn't mucked it up. Okay, so they're the three cards I was going to show you today. So we've got our, just move everything out of the way. We've got our nice and easy beginner card. We've got our intermediate card, which I quite like actually. I think probably with some of the pearls on it, I think that's probably my favourite. And then we've got our all out everything, including the kitchen sink, with our embellishments, our die cuts, our ribbon. We've got everything happening with that one. So there's my three cards. Hope you like those. I'm going to be doing a couple of other videos over the weekend and putting them straight onto my YouTube channel, but I will list the link onto this channel as I go, just to so you don't miss out on anything. And I will see you all next week, next Friday. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.